Hey y'all, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about getting medical bills removed from collections. I think this is something that most people aren't aware of how to do this, especially here in the States. I think we're accustomed to looking at medical bills as these massive, financially draining expenses, and that, we really just can't get around having to pay them. There's just like no way to get around having to actually pay them. Because if we don't pay them, it'll end up affecting our credit score. So it's like there's really no way around it. But despite the fact that the medical industry is responsible for bankrupting millions, you actually do have rights. And there's something that you can do to protect yourself from having a negative mark on your credit report due to a medical bill and having to pay additional interest on something that was more than likely out of your control. So right now, many people are dealing with catastrophic health issues that in most cases are completely unexpected. So to have the additional burden of being stalked by debt collectors while going through some really trying times is just plain old inhumane. So I want to give y'all some tea on this secret loophole that many people don't really know about to not only get your medical bills removed from your credit report, but to prevent your healthcare provider from sending your unpaid medical bills to collections in the first place. So if that sounds good, let's go ahead and get into the tea. So something that you may not have known, as of July 2022, any paid medical bills are no longer allowed to be reported, and any medical debt under $500 will no longer be included on your credit report. And so this is a widespread bill that has been passed, okay? So anything under $500 will not be included on your credit report. So the way that it works is usually any unpaid medical bills are often placed with the collection agency prior to notification, okay? So you won't be notified of this. Usually after an insurance payment, doctors and hospitals will just simply assign the debt to a third-party debt collector without even billing the patient to begin with. And there's really no explanation other than just its poor accounting habits. But see, a patient should be notified. They should know this, that they actually have a balance before it hits your credit report. So that's the way that it should be, okay? But in recent years, all right, the federal government has made it a lot harder for these people, doctors and hospitals, to ruin, a patient's credit history. So one of these changes is that you have up to 6 months to negotiate and review your medical bills prior to them being sent to the collections agencies. This will lower the amount of people who've been blindsided by having medical bills just on their credit reports and not really knowing where they came from, or even being notified that they existed in the first place. So the three major credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, requiring a 180-day waiting period before the medical debt is added to consumer credit reports. So if you notice a medical bill that's on your credit report, it doesn't really help you to actually just pay it, right? So don't just pay it right then and there. Unless you've disputed the debt with the collections agencies, simply paying the debt will do nothing more than just turning it into a paid collection on your credit report. It's a bad mark. So don't just pay it. What you want to do is negotiate it. Negotiate complete deletion of that credit in exchange for paying it off. So you want them to completely delete it from your report, completely, all right? So that it's not on there. Don't just pay it. Tell them to make sure that they are able to delete it, right? Before you pay. So now, here's the gist of this video, okay? Here's the part where we're gonna really go into your rights under HIPAA, okay? Healthcare providers are required to follow HIPAA regulations. HIPAA regulations basically protect patients' privacy, okay? So you can't be a doctor and report certain things about your patients to third parties without following HIPAA rules, okay? And there's a lot of HIPAA regulations that protect you. So they can't just report your health information without making sure that they follow HIPAA regulations. So HIPAA is actually a US federal law, okay? And it protects patient information. So the purpose of HIPAA is to make sure that medical records are unavailable for parties that don't need them, like employers, bill collectors, insurance companies. So the HIPAA privacy rule requires business associates or collections agencies to reasonably limit the amount of information to the minimum necessary, okay? And to abide to reasonable requests for confidential communications. So they have to limit the amount of information that they're receiving from these hospitals and doctors, okay, under HIPAA. Now this could be the loophole for debtors against collections agencies, because collections employees often know less about their industry, all right, than the debtor does. So these people who work for these collections agencies may not understand the concepts of around HIPAA and privacy regulations. So this could lead to HIPAA violations. And then so you will have a legal standing against these people if they've requested too much information from your doctor or your hospital. So basically in this situation, what you want to do is you want to contact the collections agency, okay, in a very professional manner and request that they provide to you, disclose to you, the actual debtor and the patient, all of the medical information that they requested and that they received from these hospitals and or your doctor, okay, to make sure that this information does not violate your privacy rights under HIPAA. So if you currently have medical collections on your credit report, here's what you want to do. So the first move you'll make is you want to write a debt validation letter, okay? And it's important to submit this letter within 30 days of being contacted by the debt collector. Do not call them. It's important to get all of this in writing. So you want to write an actual letter. I'm going to put a link to an example of a debt validation letter that you can send off to these collection agencies. And you can actually use this for any other debt too, not just medical debt. But this will actually put their feet to the fire and make them provide all, the details surrounding the debts that you supposedly owe, the creditor information and things like that. And so what happens is the collector must stop collections efforts until they provide the proof, the written proof that you have in that letter, that your debt still exists. So there are a few things to keep in mind when you're sending a medical validation letter. Okay, a medical debt validation letter. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to say that you were requesting that the medical collections agency provides the debt validation for the account number that's listed on your credit report. Make sure that you express in your actual letter that if this collections agency does not provide the adequate information within 30 days, then all of your debt needs to be removed from your credit report, okay? Request that all correspondence is done through the mail. Do not call or email you, okay? Have them mail out the correspondence. You want it to be in writing. Also, in this letter, request that they give you all of the information, all of your personal information that was given to them, the debt collector, by the creditor, by the doctor or the hospital. They need to provide to you all of the information that the doctor or hospital gave to them when processing this collection, okay? This will give you an idea of what kind of information that they were given and if it violates HIPAA or your PHI, which is your personal health information. Now, the information that doctors and hospitals are only allowed to give are the name of the debtor, the social security number, date of birth, account numbers and payment history, and the name and address of the healthcare provider or facility. These are the only things that doctors and hospitals are allowed to give over to these collections agencies. So if they've given even one thing that was more than what they're allowed to give, then you have adequate grounds to make them remove your debt. And if they don't, then you have legal recourse, and they probably won't try to fight you on that because they violated HIPAA. So again, your doctor and hospital are only allowed to give the debt collectors your name, your social security number, your date of birth, the account numbers and payment history involving this debt, and then the name and address of the actual healthcare facility. So just to sum it up, these collections agencies are not allowed to have any of your medical history or information. They're not even allowed to know what this bill is associated with, like what condition, what diagnosis you received, or what you got done in relation to this actual bill, whether or not it was a lab or anything else. They're not allowed to know any of that because that's not on the list of things that they're allowed to give, the PHI information. So if they have any of that information and you've requested that within your letter, then they will have to remove your debt. They will have to, because they've completely violated HIPAA law. So yeah, I just wanted to do this video because I know a lot of people are dealing with a lot of health issues now, and having debt and money issues around medical bills is just, it's a stress in and of itself. And to add being sick, or in the hospital, or even just dealing with some sort of medical problem, it just adds on to the stress that you're already dealing with. So again, the link to that letter is in the description. Hope you liked the video. I hope it was helpful for you. If you want more content like that, subscribe, help your girl out. And until next time, friends,